What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a belt replacement on a RZR 170. I actually just did this belt replacement a few days ago. However, I noticed that there was not a lot of videos online of actually how to do it. I think there was one video and it wasn't very in-depth. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take the machine 90% of the way apart. I'm not going to pull the cover or pull the belt or anything like that, but I will get right to that point and then explain in depth on how to take the cover off and then also how to take the belt off and then put the new belt back on. And you just need some basic tools. You don't need anything special. I would recommend an impact though to get the nut off of the secondary clutch. That's the only real specialty tool you need. Everything else will just be basic tools like wrenches and ratchets. So let's get into it. I'm going to go step by step and show you how it's done. So real fast, I just want to do a quick walk around of the machine here. So it's a 2012 RZR 170. It's carbureted. Got it for my daughter. We've had it for not even a month now, probably like 2-3 weeks. And you know, she loves it. I love it. I love driving it too. It's a blast. You know, it's big enough to fit 2 adults for the most part. It's a little cramped in there, but for the kids, it's absolutely perfect. So I bought it like this on the wheels and tires. It's been snorkeled. It has the roof. It has the front and rear windshield. It does have the light bar on top. It has the front bumper on the front as well. Really nice machine. Really well kept machine. Pretty clean for the most part. I will be doing another video as well, so you guys can tune in for that. Snorkeling the air intake. The main air intake here is a problem. So it's snorkeled as far as the air box and the belt box, but that intake needs to be snorkeled as well. So I ordered the adapter for that. That'll be in soon, and then I can show you guys how to do a PVC snorkel. I'm going to snorkel it up to the top of the bed. I'm not going to cut into the bed, but I will be doing a snorkel up to the top of the bed, just to give her more clearance from leaves and water and things like that. So let's go ahead and get into the belt replacement. This is the old belt that I took off. She was riding it pretty hard the other day, and it would not move in forward or reverse. So it just made like a squealing sound. It was running fine, but it made this squealing sound in gear. So, and this was the culprit of it. I figured that. So I ordered a new belt from Amazon. A new OEM belt for one of these is about 80 bucks from Amazon. So I'll go ahead and put the link in the description so you guys can get it ordered just in case you need it. So other than that, let's get started. All right, so first thing you're going to have to do is remove the driver's seat. So the slide handle, you push up and pull all the way out on the seat, all the way to the end of the rails. It'll come right out. If you're having a hard time with your seat sticking or not sliding easily, this is a good time to put some grease on the rails, those rails and the bottom of the seat rails. This way it'll slide a lot easier. Next, we have to take out the passenger seat. So it's going to be, I believe, 2 12mm bolts under the rail here. You can feel them. Let's see if I can get in there so you can see them. There's one there, and then one here. So let's go ahead and zip those out. All right, so now the next step, since we got the seats out, we have to get this back firewall out, and then we have to get this bottom plastic out as well. You're going to be removing the seat belts on both sides. You'll also have to remove the shifter, which is pretty easy. It's a bunch of 10mm bolts, so let's go ahead and knock that out. All right, so there's also a tab right here you have to pry out with a flathead screwdriver, and then we're also going to pry off just the very top of the shifter with a flathead, and then below there is going to be a 10mm bolt you'll have to zip off just to get the shifter out. Let's go ahead and do that. All right, so next we'll have to come around, we'll have to remove the battery as well. It's got to come out. All right, so we got the battery out. Let's go ahead and take the seat belts out now. This is a 17mm socket. It's definitely a lot easier and going a lot smoother than the first time. Once you do it once, it's cake, but the first time it's a little confusing trying to figure out how to pull everything out and what bolts are hooked to what. All right, so now what we have to do is pull this rail out. This whole bottom floor is going to come up and out. We're just going to come up and move it forward. There's two last bolts. They are 14mm bolts. So we'll go ahead and zip those out. So I almost forgot, there's two more bolts on the bottom of these rails. They're 12mm also, so let's go ahead and zip those out. That's coming out now. So you can just lean this forward. What I did was I tied this forward to the steering wheel, so it stays out of your way. Now let me get you guys a little bit closer here so we can see what we're gonna do about. All right, guys. So this is where I told you I was gonna stop. I don't want to have to pull the cover back off again, pull the belt off. I already did all that. Don't want to have to do it again. It is a little bit of a pain, but it's really not, it's not too bad. The only hard part is that there's not a lot of clearance here between this cover and the fuel tank. So what you have to do is you take these hoses off on both sides, okay? And then these bolts are all the way around. They are 5/16 socket. You can pretty much get to all of them with like an impact or a ratchet. However, there's one on the bottom here. See if I can feel it right here. Kind of hard to see, but there's one there you'll have to use a wrench on and your fingers because you can't get really in there with anything. You might be able to get a ratchet in there if you have a small ratchet, but that's the pain in the butt one. So after you get that off, these two clutches will be there as well as the belt. So the way you get the belt off is there's the clutch on this side. That's the secondary clutch. On the secondary clutch, there's a 17mm nut that you'll have to impact off. If you don't have an impact, you'll have to find a way with like a strap wrench or something like that to hold the secondary from spinning while you break that nut free. I had an impact, so I was able just to impact it off. When you impact that off, it will slide off of the output shaft of the transmission. That will give you enough slack to pull the belt off of the primary clutch, which is over here. Okay, so once you do that, the belt is off, it's in your hands, and so is the secondary clutch. To put the new belt on, it's a little bit tricky, but basically what you have to do is you have the secondary clutch in your hand, you put the new belt onto the secondary clutch, and you spread open the clutch sheaves as far as you can to push the belt down into the clutch. What that does is that gives you enough slack so that you can now slide the belt over the primary. Once you slide that over the primary, then you can just simply bolt or just slide the secondary clutch back onto the output shaft and then put the bolt in, and then you're done. Then you just simply put this cover back on. This cover is a little bit of a pain to get off because, like I said, there's not enough clearance here, so you kind of have to wiggle it and move it around a little bit. And then there's also these cables here. These are the choke cables, the shifter cables, all the cables that run from the front to the back, so it's a little bit of a pain, but all you have to do is a little bit of manipulating. And then once you get it back on, it's just reverse order. These go back on. This goes back down, all the bolts go back on, and that's it. It's very simple. You don't have to move the motor back. You don't have to take the bed off or anything like that. It's a little bit of a pain, but once you do it once, it's actually not too bad. All right, guys, so that's it. So we got the machine back together. One thing I would recommend is before you put everything back together, when you get the new belt on, I would hook up the battery, start the machine, make sure it goes forward and reverse, just to make sure there's no other issues, no clutch problems or anything like that. This way you don't throw the whole machine back together and then it doesn't want to move. So all in all, pretty easy. I just want to say too, I'm not liable if you mess up your machine. If you're not mechanically savvy, I wouldn't really recommend doing this. You know, take it to a dealership or take it to somebody who knows what they're doing. But really, it's very simple. Just requires some basic tools, nothing too crazy. Like I said, I would have pulled the cover off, would have pulled the belt off and showed you everything, but I just didn't feel like going into all that. I just did that 4 days ago to you know, replace the belt. But once you're in there, it's very simple. If you have any questions, feel free to drop some comments. I'm always here to answer them. Make sure you like and subscribe to my channel as well. Like I said too, my next video will include the snorkeling of the main air intake on this machine. So stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.